Hey YouTube, on the last video you saw the 1955 Chevy truck build. We were cutting out the boxing plates for the frame rails and we had them all ready to be welded on. Somehow I managed to either delete that video or I lost it the day of us welding those boxing plates on. I've got a little bit of footage of doing one rail, but one rail was completely done on the footage I have left. I don't know what I did. I had a bunch of videos I was clearing out of on my iPad I use for editing, and I must have clicked on them by mistake. So I don't know what I did there, but I did lose a weekend's worth of video footage to show you welding these boxing plates on. So we're gonna splice in the footage I have left. I have one rail done already where the video takes off here, and my dad will be working on the other rail. So we're gonna go ahead and watch what we have left, and then hopefully I don't do that again and we'll have footage of where we continue. So please enjoy the video, and sorry about my mistake. Get your cheater lens on.
Can't follow. For what, everything around is dark, I can't see more.
Okay, here's where we're at on the frame rails. Got the boxing plates all welded in, You can see I run the grinder over both sides. I went ahead and used a flap disc, knock everything down from the grinding wheel. If you don't know what a flap disc is, it's basically like layered sandpaper on a grinding wheel. You can get it in different grits, so depending on what you're doing, it does a pretty nice job of smoothing it over. It's got a couple little waves in it. I'll probably run the grinder or the flap disc over it again. If that doesn't take care of it, I'm going to take a long file and I'll just run over that edge, and it'll take off the highs and keep the lows until we level it out. That'll get it nice and straight. I'll probably do it once the rails are standing up. As you can see on this other rail over here, my dad got the boxing plates welded in. We're gonna go ahead. I just used the last grinding wheel, so he's off getting another pack of grinding wheels. So hopefully we can get that ground down today, smoothed out. I should have this one done here in a few minutes. Okay, like I said in the intro of the video, I accidentally deleted some of the footage. When I did the rail here, this is the one I did. I actually stopped and kind of explained what we were doing and the process of welding them in and what we did to prep the back side of these rails before we welded it on. So I lost that footage, so now the rails are together. I'll just go through kind of what we did here. You saw in the last video we had all the plates cut out. Well, now they're all welded in. We got the welds ground down, run a flap disc over them, all over our seams. To prep the rails, we used a weld through primer. Kind of see what that copper color is. And we had two different types we used. This one's a gray, that was a zinc base, and this one's a copper based. Let's show you over here. This is what we used here. U-pull, weld number 2, copper rich, weld through primer. It's infused with copper. That way you can prime your rails and you can still strike an arc with it. Same with the zinc base. I was told by my paint supplier that this copper was the better version. This can here was about $50, so they're very proud of it. The zinc stuff, which is the gray, looks like gray primer, I think I picked that up for about 20 bucks. That's why we went with that. I run short a can, and they said it was on national back order, so I had to get the copper to finish the other rail. Supposedly it's a better product. for what we're doing, I don't know. But we did spray the inside of the rail and the back of these boxing plates with the copper primer. And once we have all the rails completely done, we are going to go through the other side. I've got bolt holes for the running boards, and I've got mounting holes on top for the cab mounts. I've got an undercoating gun. It goes onto a can. It's like an extension. It's a flexible extension. It's about 3 feet, 4 feet long. I can shove in this hole and go down the rail 4 feet, and it's got a 360 spray pattern on it. So then we'll use that 3M frame honey, or what, undercoating, whatever you want to call it. We'll go in there and we'll spray the inside of that rail with that coating to cover this primer. So the rail should be pretty protected on the inside. One other thing we did, see which rail it is this rail here. You can see this here, we run a 1/2 inch. It's an electrical conduit, but it's a flexible plastic. I've heard it called Smurf tube. So we ran that from the back all the way up to where about the firewall is going to be. We put a mark right here on the frame. We'll cut a hole here and put a fitting to where that tube will come out, and that'll be for any wiring we've got running to the rear end of the truck. That way we don't have to worry about running it on the frame rail. Kinds of cleans the look of the frame rail up. That way you don't have a plastic wire loom. And then coming out of the cab, there's really no good place to mount it on the truck bed. But you'll have rear lights and possibly a backup camera on the rear end. So that's where our wiring, it'll be coming out of the fuse box under the dashboard. We can run it down inside the cab. You can hit this hole in the frame rail. So all you'll see is just a small flexible piece from the cab going to the frame rail. It'll pick up that tube, which we welded studs in, I don't know, maybe every 18 inches. And that tube is secured inside the frame rail. Then goes all the way back. We got it running along here. These ends are open, so we can get that undercoating gun in there. And when it comes time, we'll once the bed is back on, we'll figure out how to terminate this end and where our wires will come up. And that's kind of how we're going to leave today's video. The only thing we really have left to do is mount the uprights on the table and get our frame rails mounted. We got a front and rear cross member. We'll get that in there to set our width for the front and rear. We'll get it squared up on the table, and then we'll mount these uprights. We'll actually weld them to the table. We'll get the frame rail up and level, and we'll weld the frame rail to these uprights. That way everything's nice, straight, square, and it's held solid. This tabletop here is 1/2 inch steel plate, so once you got everything welded solid, it's not going to move on us. That way, we're actually going to be replacing this front cross member. We're going to be using the old one just to bolt back in to get our width, but that will be replaced with rectangular tubing. The rear cross member we are going to be reusing. We're just going to it was a C-channel. We're going to put a boxing plate on it, so it'll be tubing when we're done. That'll go across the back. But we'll be putting all new cross members in because we got a 4-link rear suspension, so there'll be a new cross member layout here. And then for the transmission, and I believe there was another cross member going in. I'll have to check. So that's all we're really going to be able to do for all we have left to do until we get some parts. I've got the Mustang 2 front suspension and the 4-link coming from Streetrod Engineering. I haven't heard from them. It's been on order for 4 to 5 weeks, I think. I know at least 4, maybe we're probably going into our 5th week. I still haven't heard anything. They said it could be 6 to 8 weeks at least before we'd start seeing parts. So I haven't got a shipping notice from them yet. They're supposed to update the status every time my order status changes. I've not received an email on it other than it's been processed and they're working on it. So I'm not expecting to see that here anytime soon. So we're kind of in a holding pattern on this thing until we get some parts. We really need to get that Mustang 2 kit in and the rear end in before we can mount the engine and transmission. It's not my truck. I do have a little say in it, but it's not my truck to make decisions. But we also got to decide on the powertrain we're running. If we're going to go with a 5.3 6.0 gas, or we're kicking around the idea of the R2.8 Cummins, a little 4-cylinder turbo Cummins diesel. It's my dad's truck, so he will ultimately be making that decision, since it's going to be his truck. It's going to be his, not a daily driver, but it's going to be something he drives quite often. So we want something reliable, and that Cummins kit is called the Cummins Repower. If you haven't looked it up, Cummins Repower R2.8 diesel. It's a pretty slick setup on there. You get the entire crate engine, all the electronics, the wiring, the gas pedal, most of the accessories. It's a bolt-in. It comes with adapter plates for different types of transmissions. It comes with its own ECM. It's basically you plug it in, hook 12 volts to it and fuel, and you're pretty much ready to go. They are kind of proud of it. It's, I think last time we looked, shipped here is a little over $9 grand. So kind of debating on the cost of that, if it's going to be worth it, because you can go with a 5.3 for quite a bit cheaper, especially if you'd end up getting a used one and just cleaning it up and modifying the wiring. So we're still kicking around what we're going to do there, but we really can't even mount the engine or transmission until we have that cross member in for the Mustang 2 kit. So we got to get that in first, and all the cross members in, and then until we see them, like I said, it could be at least a few more weeks. So it might be a while before you see another video on this truck. It's not because we're not working on it, it's just we're waiting on parts. Also, we're going to be starting our garage build. If you follow my other videos, see that we've bought some land, and we're going to be building a house and a garage. We're actually going to be building a garage first. It's going to be 50 by 100. We've got the dirt pad for that built. There should be a video coming up here of us laying the building out, but it's end of March here. We're going to be starting April, probably by the time this video's out. We're going to get going on getting that building up. So my time between my real job, and we're going to be doing pretty much all the work on that building ourselves, meaning me and my dad. I'm going to be pretty busy, so I don't know how much time we're going to have to work on this truck, because by the time I get off work, I'll be out there trying to get this building put up. So, but still, I'll give an update as soon as I get some parts. So I appreciate you watching. You can check out my other videos. If you really like this one, hit the thumbs up button. Even hit that subscribe button. That would really help me out. So again, thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.